outside? Should I run and hide? How do I take my company worldwide? Do you love the law? Did you watch Hee-Haw? What's the weirdest thing that you ever saw? What's it like in court? Favorite sport? Can you help with my book report? Is my hair too long? Am I right or wrong? And do you mind if I sing along to anything? Ask Alan anything in the world.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Ask Alan, the podcast. I'm Alan Crone, the CEO of the Crone Law Firm, and I'm excited to tell you that we got a big time show today. Jason Wexler, the president of the Memphis Grizzlies, joins us. Jason, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. I look forward to it.
Oh, well, I don't know that there's any bigger civic asset in this city than the Memphis Grizzlies. And talk, if you would, just talk a little bit about how, I mean, you're a native Memphian, correct?
I've been here 25 years now, so may as well be a native Memphian.
Yeah, you were, well, I guess my point is you were Memphian before you were with the Grizzlies.
I was a Memphian before the Grizzlies were even in Memphis.
Right. So talk about how it is to be a Memphian and running the local major league sports team.
Yeah, I mean, it is a civic responsibility, and we all understand that here. It's actually part of our recruiting pitch when we are recruiting people to come work for us, because, in a lot of cities, sports is entertainment, and that's great. And, the city gets behind their teams, and, it's what you expect and understand for being a sports fan. But here in Memphis, being the sole professional team, it's really a lot more. It is sort of a civic bond and a civic obligation, and it takes on a different level of meaning and importance. And, we understand and feel that weight working here. And we try and recruit people who, want to feel that weight as well, and want it to be something that has a little bit more meaning than entertainment for entertainment's sake. And I really feel like the Grizzlies in Memphis, have that. And it's, it happened organically, but, we don't shy away from it, and we sort of embrace it. But we certainly are fully aware that, there's a little bit of ebb and flow with the team. It feels like there's an ebb and flow with the city at the same time.
Right. The as president, I'm going to ask you the way anybody would ask. What do you do? What does it mean to be the president of the Memphis Grizzlies?
There's a lot. So basketball and business both roll up to me. Basketball, Zach's the GM, does a great job, and we have a extremely detailed basketball operations. We've got everything you would expect: performance, medical, analytics, scouting, and all. There's an enormous amount of paperwork that comes with being involved in the NBA on the basketball side as well. Business side, we're a small business. It's sort of a weird business environment that we have this huge visibility, this big footprint, but we're actually, about a small business, about 175 employees, give or take, on the business side. But we are a small business that is comprised of a bunch of other small businesses. So we manage FedEx Forum. So we are an arena management, venue management, property management business. We are in the business of selling tickets. So we're a ticket sales business. We work with our sponsor partners. So we are in this business of selling sponsorships. We're also, basically function as an in-house advertising agency for both ourselves as well as those partners, and trying to create, marketing plans. We have a whole business analytics group that studies our fan base so we can understand and better work for ourselves and our partners. We have Grind City Media. We're the first professional sports team with our own in-house digital media company. So we've got a broadcast and media business that's part of what we do too. Plus you have the sort of normal back of house of HR, finance, all those kinds of things that make a business work. So it's managing all of those things and sort of taking all of these small business lines and making sure they're all pulling together in the same direction to maximize the potential of the organization. So it's fascinating because, the best part of the job, but also the most complicated part of the job, is every day you wake up and you don't really know what's going to happen. You might have a schedule and you might have a plan, but there is that's kind of where the visibility part kicks in. But it's it really is interesting to sort of have to develop expertise in all these different areas and facets of the business in order for the business to function as a whole.
And it's not as simple on game day as turning on the lights and rolling the ball out there. I wouldn't imagine. Lots of moving parts to have to worry about once the season starts.
Yeah, that's, the actual game night itself is another line of business. Essentially, we are a production company, a live event production company. It is a major production to put on a game. You've got audio, video, talent, you have all the back of house operations. So that's just all the stuff the fan sees. Plus then you have all the venue management stuff. So there's, an enormous amount that goes into it. That's why when you look carefully down at the scorers table and around the corners and the sidelines, you see, people with headsets on, and, we're putting on a show and a production. The players are playing the game, but, somebody's got to be responsible for that production in and around the game. So that the fans have that maximum, entertainment experience. And that's, part of what we do. Plus there's the whole hospitality side. We know that if you have a great experience from the time you leave your car to the time you get back to your car, where everybody is friendly, warm, you get in, you get out, you enjoy the food, you enjoy the seat, you enjoy the production. Even if we might not win that game, you'll be back. But, if we win the game, but, you otherwise had a bad experience, you might not come back. So, we have that whole component of how we operate that we focus, very carefully on a regular basis.
How many people on a typical game night, how many people are in the building working?
Yeah. So game night, because that's the difference. You have a lot of part-time folks who are in for games only, working the arena, but it gets to be 400 to 500 all in. If it's a full house, for that, if it's a smaller concert or event, it might be less than that, but, and every concert and event's a little bit different as well. So that's a big part of the business is trying to get as many shows and as many, entertainment concepts into the building as you can do. Like we've got drone racing coming up in the fall, which is a new one for us. And, it's growing popularity, and professional drone racers in the building, and they set up a course, and, it'll be cool to see how something like that works.
Wow. Okay. Drone racing.
Yeah.
I guess you're that, humans will race anything. If you can race it moves that you're going to race it.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly right. And, people are watching it. And, if you kind of go to, it's one of those things when I heard we were getting it, I went to the drone racing league, and you start watching the videos and you realize, like anything else, like there's an inordinate amount of skill and technology and, cool stuff happening. And, so we'll see. So, we're always looking for opportunities to bring new stuff like that. And it's sort of funny, I guess, we're about the same age. There's, shows and concerts we get now that, are a little bit not of our age group. We have a group coming, Dude Perfect. Who are those guys? Well, they're YouTube stars and they've got a show. I'm like, and it's selling like crazy, and that's great, So we're trying to do things like, make sure we reach all of our audiences.
Yeah, my son Charlie is a big Dude Perfect
there you go.
fan, and I think he may already have tickets if they're on Saturday. He's planning on going.
Perfect.
And I'm like you. I've seen. Because he's a fan, I had seen him before,
Right.
But that's a whole universe of celebrity and entertainment that's just off my radar screen.
Yep.
But competes with your entertainment to a certain extent.
Yeah.
How have you guys dealt with? You talked about Grind House Media.
Yeah.
How are y'all dealing with the new environment with digital entertainment and these internet stars?
Yeah. So, it's interesting because you end up having to be on more and more platforms and do more and more things. So, there's the Memphis Grizzlies accounts where we're on every social media platform. We're trying to create engaging content, as well as, status updates for, team performance, while also trying to, get people to come out to the arena and experience it. For Grind City Media, we wanted to be a digital media company that, connects with our fans in Memphis, but also connects regionally. So we've got Rise and Grind, a daily morning show. We've got Chris Vernon's show, which is, daily sports talk show. And, the way those work, though, is you can watch them live stream on your phone, on our app, watch them live on YouTube. You can watch them later on YouTube. You can get them as a podcast. You can get them as a video cast, whatever platform you want them on at whatever time you want to watch them. that is kind of how we're adjusting, is so that it is on demand. Plus we have a whole other series of podcasts, plus some digital media, and we do video shorts and everything else we can to keep creating an interesting content. We cover baseball, we cover college football, we cover sports betting. We've got a bunch of great shows on all those topics. But what we realize is we need to reach our audience where they're at, which is more and more often in the digital world. So, traditional media is traditional, right? Your newspaper is your newspaper. They've moved online, but they still fundamentally cover what they cover. Local news is local news, but we want to reach a broader audience than that. We also, as much as we want to reach a Memphis audience, we want to be reaching a regional audience and bringing those folks into Memphis for games and entertainment and concerts and events. And sort of the way we analogize it for Grind City Media is, for people of a certain age in Memphis, they're all Cardinals fans because KMOX had that giant radio footprint. Yeah. And then if you're a little bit younger, you're a Braves or you're a Cubs fan because they had the Superstation teams, and that's how they worked. What we want is for the Grizzlies through Grind City Media for the digital era to be that for this whole region. When you start thinking about, there's not another NBA team until you get to New Orleans or OKC or Indianapolis, and it's Atlanta. It's a pretty wide swath of land that we can try and create a stakehold and be, the most important team in Memphis, but help bring that regional fandom to bear in Memphis as well.
You mentioned KMOX and then the super stations on cable. It's an interesting progression. How long do you think television, as in the traditional sense, will be the driving revenue? Because I'm guessing that's where most NBA teams get their
that's the biggest question, and one that folks typically gets handled at the league office. So that's sort of a little bit above my pay grade. We obviously all monitor it closely, but there's still tens of millions. I wouldn't want to guess the number who are subscribing to cable daily. There's also lots and lots of sports that are streaming. Which is, been fascinating to watch that business kind of grow. And so it's still going to be a massive driver. It just may look different in years to come. And it's probably going to be a hybrid of, all of those things, just like our games are still on the radio, right? If you want to listen on the radio, probably your kid, like my kids, have, never turned on a car radio in their life, right? That's just not what they do. They walk in and their phone's automatically hooked up, and, it starts going. But at the same time, like, there's people who listen to games on the radio, and so you meet everybody where they're at. So the hardest part about it all is just having sort of said earlier, like, we are a small business. You just end up having to grow to meet all the platforms. So your overall audience size, you're trying to grow, but your audience is also a little bit more fragmented because so many of them are you're trying to reach them in so many different ways than 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah, I'm a big Memphis Tiger fan, football particularly, and it just 2 or 3 years ago, it was difficult to find a Tiger game on television, and now through the streaming, ESPN streaming, you can watch just about every Tiger game wherever it is, and it'd be interesting I haven't talked to them about it. But it just makes the game day experience from a business standpoint for you, I would imagine, so much more important because I can watch the game at home.
Right.
But I got to go to FedEx Forum to experience the game.
Yep.
What do you guys, I know you guys do a great job with hospitality. Even when your folks are telling me I'm going into the wrong part of the stadium, they're very nice about it. I don't feel nearly as embarrassed as I could feel.
That's good to hear.
But I know you work hard at it. What do y'all do to try to for people to say, I want to come back and watch the game live rather than watching it in my living room?
Sure. No, it's a great question. First of all, there is just something to a communal experience that you don't quite get from your living room. So, especially after this past year and a half where we've all been sort of stuck in our living rooms no matter what, it was really interesting to see towards the tail end of the season where we were able to get some people in the building, just how much people miss that communal experience, sharing in, the joy and sometimes the pain of, how that comes together. we're really diligent about putting on an entertaining show. I think we're one of the best in the NBA at that. You know, our philosophy is to stick to Memphis's identity. You know, there's a lot of sort of general approaches to sports entertainment in arena. And we kind of say, well, we don't want to be like everybody else. We want to do our own thing. We want to do a Memphis thing. We want it to have a Memphis vibe. We want to play interesting music. We want to have different beats in the background. We want to have, you know, our mascot who, you know, is a pretty regular mascot in terms of identity for 3 quarters, fun and entertaining. And then the 4th quarter, he turns into Super Grizz, like a professional wrestler and, you know, sort of tied up into the culture of Memphis. And, you know, we want that unique Memphis feel to our game experience. And I think, you know, we work really hard at that. And I think everybody who's been to other arenas comes to ours. I had a friend come down from New York for the playoffs. And he goes, this is the best live sports experience I've ever had, just because it's fun and the crowd's into it and we do our own thing and we make it distinct. And then, you know, if you're a regular customer, you start to understand some of the nuances and you start to get some of the inside jokes and you feel, you know, what the cues are. So you're sort of, it's almost becomes audience participation in the production rather than, you know, being one step removed. And that's kind of the really nice part about our games is the audience does feel like they are part of it. So, you know, we work hard at it. We feel like that communal thing does matter. You know, wouldn't lie though that, you know, it's definitely a concern when, you know, you can enjoy the game on your all 82 games on your flat screen TV and ordering a pizza. You know, we are competing with that to a certain extent, but we'd like to think, you know, the fun of being there and the uniqueness of being there is something that, you know, you can't appreciate. And there is also just, the guys are so good at what they do. And when you see them perform live, you know, it is equivalent to like, you can hear your favorite song 1,000 times on the radio, but when you see it performed live, it's different. And, you know, the players and the athletes are the same way. Like you can watch them on TV and you can appreciate everything they've done. You can see the viral clip of, you know, whatever play, but when you see it in person, it's just another level. And I think people understand and appreciate that as well.
You know, I forget where I read this, but it's always stuck with me that, you know, sporting events are really one of the few places where adults will stand up and jump up and down and scream.
Yeah.
With joy, you know, or with heartache. There's just something about that live sports moment, as you say, a communal moment that, you know, you're not going to get that experience anywhere else.
Nah. And look, even when you're, you know, watching it in your house, it's why you want to watch it with people in your house if you can, or you have friends over for the big game or whatever it might be, right? Like it's, you can appreciate it as an individual experience, but there's more fun in the shared experience of it. And there's even a whole other level of fun in the shared live experience. And that's sort of what we rely on.
Well, let me digress just a minute and ask, okay, Jason Wexler, say 8-year-old Jason Wexler, is he looking forward to being the president of a sports franchise?
I mean,
how did you get from there to where you are now?
It wasn't even possible for 38-year-old Jason Wexler to think that, you know. I went to school as an architecture major, realized that I probably wanted to be the developer, not the architect. Asked the professors, how do I become a developer? Because I had no idea. I didn't have any family connections, anything like that. They said, go to law school. So I went to law school, became a lawyer, practiced law for 9 years, a little bit in New York, down here in Memphis, did real estate law and finance and, you know, learned a lot about it. And the whole time was trying to launch a development career on the side. Started my own company, you know, resigned my law firm partnership, started my own company, Green Hat Partners, started doing downtown real estate development, you know, historic rehab, city center revitalizations. Love that. That's what I expected to do. That's what I expected to be. And then, you know, was fortunate to have some really good mentors along the way. Lawyer in New York, guy named Steve Coppell was great. lawyers in Memphis, worked at Hanover Walsh, Jelinek and Blair. My father-in-law is Jim Jelinek, part of why I'm in Memphis. Fantastic mentor. My first business partner when I started my real estate development company, Green Hat Partners, is Billy Orville, and you couldn't ask for a better mentor and business partner than Billy. And then after Billy and I got a couple of projects going, started doing partnerships with Henry Turley, and then went to become president of the Henry Turley Company. And, you know, Henry's the best there is at it. So I've been sort of fortunate in my career and who I've been able to work with and work for, and was happy doing that. And that's what I, you know, had basically aimed my whole career to do and be. In the meantime, I was a very big basketball fan. I was also a pretty big basketball nerd fan too. Like, I was the guy in the friend group who, like, if you did this trade, would it work under the cap? And I'd be like, yes, for this reason, no, for that, you know, like, I've always tried to figure the games I was fans of. I always wanted to figure them out at a deeper level. Totally appreciate casual fans, totally, you know, appreciate fans who are fans of just the game. I've always been one of those people who's sort of a fan of the game and the structure, you know, behind the game. So, you know, when the Grizzlies came to town, you know, they were looking for somebody to be a senior executive in the business side who understood the Memphis business community, understood how everything connected in Memphis, had a working relationship with, you know, local owners, and sort of understood their businesses and their connections to the city, and just to, you know, be a Memphis liaison facilitator and help, you know, connect the business here. And happen to know through friends of friends, you know, some of the people coming in, and, you know, ended up in the job of COO a little bit unexpectedly, because it was one of those opportunities like, hey, why wouldn't you take your shot at, you know, that kind of opportunity? And it's been, you know, a really fun ride from there. But, you know, it's definitely a very atypical career path. It's not a replicable career path. You know, I think it's a very Memphis career path. It's a city where you get to reinvent yourself a lot, you know. So I'm in my early 50s, and I've been a lawyer, and I've been a developer, and now I'm, you know, I've been a sports executive for a while. So, yeah, I feel very fortunate to have been in Memphis and been in the right place at the right time. And, you know, just sort of understood how, you know, when looking back, all the work I did along the way in Memphis did lead to this opportunity, being active and engaged and sitting on boards and volunteering for committees, because all of those things led to the kinds of connectivity that allowed me to be in that position when they were looking for somebody who was connected to the city to be that person. And then, you know, as I joke with my wife, my ability to BS about basketball at a high level, you know, you never thought it was going to be a job requirement, but now it ends up being like, you know, understanding the game, you know, it sort of helps when you're talking to folks. So.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, that's great. It just shows you how life can work out. You know, you can plan and plot, and then things just kind of fall together. And I think we can all identify with that, not to the extent of kind of every young child sports fan's dream of, you know, running the hometown team, but that's great. Well, let me ask you a couple questions that kind of are suggested by some of the things you've said. You did mention it very briefly, but I think to me, it's fascinating. And that is, how are the Grizzlies adapting to the new sport betting environment in Tennessee? Is it something y'all are involved in? Or are you trying to stay out of it? How do you deal with that?
No, we're you know, everybody I think in professional sports recognizes that sports betting creates fan engagement, and, you know, fan engagement matters deeply to us. We want fans who are, you know, we're happy to have you for 10 or 20 games a year, but we love to have you for 82 games a year paying attention, right? And sports betting helps do that. In Tennessee, mobile sports betting is legal. Brick and mortar is not permitted, but mobile sports betting is, you know, where a lot of the business takes place, given the nature of, you know, how we are with our phones and our computers and our laptops and second screens and all of that kind of stuff. We actually have 2 significant sports betting partnerships. one with FanDuel and one with WinBet, both of which are great partnerships and have been really good partners for us, both very early on. It is all new. It's been really interesting to see the growth of the business in Tennessee. It's exceeded all projections in the first year plus or so now that sports betting's been legal. It's generating a lot of revenue for the state because there is a tax on it. It's interesting to see what's going on in our neighboring states. Mississippi, Arkansas, Kentucky all have some form of sports betting that's legal. A little bit different rules in different states, but it's going to be a significant factor going forward. And, I think it was one of those things that we all knew it was there, but bringing it to light and putting it in a space where everybody can see it and the state can make a little money off of it. And, we're allowed to be forthright, within the parameters of the NBA rules and how we deal with it, is a really good situation. So we're not an operator, right? We don't place or take bets or set lines. There would be too much of an obvious conflict of interest there. And we're not in that. But what we can be is a marketing partner, sponsor partner for WinBet and FanDuel, who are in that business. And so that's what we do, is we try and drive awareness of what they do as businesses, and reach to our fans and build that connectivity that way.
Are there game day opportunities? I mean, I remember when it was all kind of in its infancy. I was still working for the mayor and was involved in the lobbying efforts. And one of the things was, you can, you'll be able to bet on whether, Sam Smith makes a free throw kind of in real time. Have we gotten to that place yet? Or is it still just kind of win losses, that sort of thing?
I know, like, part of our deal with one of the partners, FanDuel, is they, at halftime, during our halftime show, they provide you the updated odds for the second half of the game, so that if you want to bet on the second half, because, whatever, you didn't bet on the first half or the game overall, you're able to do that, or you want to, place additional bets. So it is ongoing. I don't, participate in it myself. I'm not allowed to, for obvious reasons. So I'm not, I don't know how much of the immediacy is there. There's definitely half by half, quarter by quarter, individual prop bets, that kind of stuff. I don't know if it's quite gotten to the what's going to happen on the next play kind of betting, because you got to be 100% over latency issues and some other things with respect to that. But it's clearly moving, in those general directions, as it goes. So it's been really sort of interesting to see the quick evolution of it. And obviously the mobile component of it, and having your phone and, good Wi-Fi, really sort of drives the experience.
I would imagine y'all have had to, that's something y'all look at, is the Wi-Fi experience in the facility.
We have excellent Wi-Fi in our building, given Robert's experience and what his business is day to day.
Right. But I mean, 10 years ago, most operators of sports facilities, that was a tertiary or maybe even lower consideration, having good Wi-Fi. But now you've just got to have it for, if nothing else, so people can take and post selfies.
That's, it's a big part of it, right? Part of it is digital ticketing. We don't have printed tickets anymore. We're going cashless this year in FedEx Forum. So there's not going to be any more cash. So, your phone is your tool, both individually for your experience, for your connectivity, for other certain fan experiences, for your, getting in and out of the building, for buying food, all the adjunct experiences is all, now digitally enhanced. I think we talked earlier about the communal experience. I think there were a lot of people who were trying to see whether or not that would take over the live sporting experience. And I don't think that has, right? When you're at the game, the production of the game and the game itself still matters. People check their phones at breaks, but people aren't interacting as much on their phone during breaks with the big screen. At one point, everybody thought it was gonna be this giant interconnected experience. It hasn't morphed into that. It still is communal fan experience, but that function of the fan experience is enhanced day by day. And it's kind of thing is people say, well, I missed my old paper ticket. and you do, and we understand that, but you have your, screenshot of your game day ticket now, and then you've got your selfie from being at the, building, and that's, sort of replaces the paper nostalgia with digital nostalgia, which, for, again, a younger generation, that's all they've ever known anyway. So that's what they're used to.
Well, from a physical plant standpoint, any upgrades or surprises that fans will see next season at FedEx Forum?
So, the building is, believe it or not, opened 0405. So we're at about 18, 19 years old now on the building. Right. So it's, we're always working on it, always trying to make it better. FedEx Forum has been used for basketball longer than the pyramid was used for basketball, which is something that I think gets a little hard to process for folks sometimes. But, we're going to have a new sports bar this year. WinBet is sponsoring a new sports bar that's going to be very fan visible. As I mentioned, we're going to be completely cashless. We have a new point of sale system. So the process of buying food and beverage should be a little cleaner, a little smoother. You just come up and you can use a credit card, or you can just tap your phone if you've got mobile pay, and move onward there. So we're trying to enhance a bunch of those experiences. There's still, a little bit more in a post-COVID world that you've got to do. There's no, you got to run your bags now through an X-ray machine, which is no big deal. It's not quite like the airport, but you can't have hand searches anymore in a post-COVID era. So there's a little bit of logistical stuff. Ticket scanning is going to be a self-scan stand now instead of somebody holding a scanner over. So a lot of incremental technology upgrades and that kind of thing. A lot of back of house this year in fixing up the building, but front of house we'll have some new F&B options like that sports bar and some good things cooking.
So it sounds like a lot of businesses, your investment in technology and innovative use of technology, it sounds like it was accelerated a little bit by COVID.
Absolutely. Going cashless was some things that arenas had been talking about for a while, but, certainly not having the hand-to-hand transactions or minimizing hand-to-hand transactions is something you need to do in this day and age. And so that was, something that pushed forward with it. We were, certainly thinking about a completely digital approach to ticketing, but, we've been moving that way for years. But now we're, fully digital. And instead of having to have a person with a, scan your ticket in, there's a freestanding stand, and it'll, just put your phone under it and you're there and you go and you push forward. And there's all the data that comes with that behind the scenes that we're trying to be smarter and more thoughtful about processing as well to help enhance the guest experience when they're in the building.
Well, I know some sports teams have done this, and I haven't really heard that you guys have. Is there any activity going on to marry your two careers together for the Grizzlies to get into the real estate development business?
We're always focused on the business and our physical plant and what we can accomplish. We're always acutely aware of, downtown in the neighborhood. And, from my development planning days, I always like to make the point that, the public's investment in AutoZone Park and the public's investment in FedEx Forum, you look at all the development going on and around, not just between those two buildings where there's billions of dollars, but up and down the blocks in and around here. And you just really realize what a catalytic investment for Memphis, first AutoZone and then FedEx Forum was, because there's so much that's happened as a result of it that's created a gateway to downtown and enhanced so much of what's happened downtown in the intervening years. And I genuinely believe there would be, a fraction of what's been done downtown without it. So, we always pay attention to what's happening. We want to always be good neighbors. We want FedEx Forum to always be a first-class arena. That's our first and foremost objective. And, it's one of those things that, we're looking at now because the building is reaching that point where, it's going to need a second life soon. And we're excited to start thinking about, how we do that for, the benefit of Memphis.
Right. And, Beale Street is Beale Street, but having FedEx Forum at one end of it, I think, or in the middle of it, is so important. And that makes the Grizzlies so important on many levels to Memphis. And we're about running out of time here. I could probably talk to you for another 2 hours. It's fascinating, but for what it's worth, let Mr. Parra know, if he doesn't already know, just how much Memphis loves the Grizzlies and loves having the NBA in town. And we're so grateful that that we're a big part of the NBA because of him and because of the team.
He's well aware and committed to Memphis and appreciates all the support that the team and the organization gets from our fans and everybody in Memphis and Shelby County and throughout the region. So we're we have a unique identity in the NBA, and we appreciate how much of that organically comes from being in Memphis.
All right. Well, let me let you go, Jason. I appreciate it. I'd like to, at some point in the future, I'd love to have you back to talk about the Grizzlies civic engagement, because we really didn't talk about that. But you guys, the team, the organization's real involved in civic charity and philanthropy, and also civil rights. And I want to mention that because I don't want people to think that I've forgotten it, but we just didn't have time to talk about it. But I think that'd be an interesting topic down the road to have a whole show on.
I appreciate you referencing it. And it's a core to our mission in Memphis, and it is a big part of who we are and what we do here. So thank you for acknowledging that.
Sure. Well, Jason, again, thank you so much for classing up the joint. It's great to have a guest of your caliber on the show. And thank you to our audience for listening. I have a feeling this is going to be a blockbuster in terms of viewership. If you enjoyed the show, please share us on social media, comment on it, email it. If you received it by email it to people who you think might be interested in it. And Jason's going to go and win some ball games, and I'm going to go get some justice. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Alan.